Slayers. They're such an essential part of the game, but you may be wondering, which one is the best? Today, we will be discussing the positives and negatives about each Slayer and ranking them based on 3 factors. Number 1, how profitable is the Slayer? Because some Slayers are more profitable than others, and this is a big part about why some people do Slayers, and some make more than you think, so stick around to find out how much they make. And the second one is, how easy is it to progress in the Slayer? Because different Slayers require different amounts of gear for their stage of the game, and this can greatly affect their difficulty. And finally, we'll be ranking them on how useful are the drops from a Slayer, because that's another main reason why you would do this Slayer. To kill Slayer to get the drops, and some Slayers do have a lot better drops than others that are more useful compared to others. And without these drops, you wouldn't really have that reason to grind Slayers other than for the crafts and the Skyblock XP. And I will not be judging these Slayers based on how fun they are, as everyone can have a different opinion on how fun is a Slayer, so I won't be judging them based on this. And I also won't be judging them based on the crafts, because the people who are not Iron Man do not really craft them and just buy it from the auction house, but some people do. And as a quick reminder, if you do like what you see today, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing, as I spend a lot of time making this video, and I would really appreciate it. Anyway, let's get on to the video. The first Slayer boss that we are going to discuss today is the Revenant Horror, which is also known as Zombie Slayer. It is the first Slayer that you unlock when you hit combat level 15, and is a relatively easy boss to kill right out of the gate. But when you hit Zombie Slayer level 7, you unlock a whole new tier other than the first 4 tiers that you unlock right as you unlock the boss. But this 5th tier is a significantly harder tier than all the previous tiers, and this has significantly better drops as a result. And these drops have a few things that are worth mentioning, which these drops are the Warden Heart, the Scythe Blade, the Shuttleless Shredded, and Smite 7. Now these are good drops and have some very good uses for progression in the game, as well as the Slayer itself. But in terms of usefulness outside of Zombie Slayer, I'd say that the Warden Heart is really the most useful, because the Scythe Blade is a lot like the other summoning items that you can obtain from floor 6, as well as like the Shuttleless Shredded being used to craft the Axle Shredded, which isn't really that useful in the current meta at this time of year. Which the reason why the Warden Helmet is so useful is that it is a good helmet that increases your damage with the more speed that you have over the 200% speed cap that it gives. And even with the good drop of the Warden Heart, it is such an incredibly rare drop that you won't really have gotten it until after you have hit the max level of Revenant 9, but if you do, it does save you a bunch of time, and for this reason, that fact that it's just so rare that you just lose significantly more money than you would ever make in the Slayer at that rate, with a rate of around, I'd say, negative 2 million coins per hour, and for this reason, I think that this deserves to go into the C tier. Moving on to the next Slayer for Spider Slayer, there isn't really that much more to say about Spider Slayer that there is to say about the first 4 tiers about Zombie Slayer, because the gear that you would need to kill a tier 4 Spider Slayer is around the same gear that you would need to kill a tier 4 Revenant Slayer, and for this reason the boss is very easily farmed just because of the amount of spiders that are found in the Arachne burrows that is in the Spider's Den, and the spiders don't really have that many useful drops, with the main 2 that I think are worth mentioning being the Tarantula Talisman, which is an easy talisman to get, which gives you more magical power to upgrade your setup and damage, and Fly Swars, which is used to craft the best minion speed upgrade in the game, which is very useful and is a very good endgame mini item for people who use them. And because of the fact that you can grind the Spider Slayer so fast, you will not be making any money at all outside of Aatrox. Because during Aatrox, you could start making some profit, but most of the time you're going to be losing significant level coins with around similar levels of money that you'll be losing compared to Revenant at a rate of around 3 million coins per hour. And with these factors, I think the Spider Slayer also deserves to go into C just because of its similar nature and just the other factors I mentioned above. And moving on to the next Slayer we discuss being the Sven packmaster, and this Slayer is just not that good. It's a tough Slayer to get started in. It requires similar gear to the others to kill it. it with the difficulty that it is not an easy boss to farm consistently, mainly because of the phases that it has and the fact that it spawns Sven pups, giving it immunity, making this a lot harder to farm consistently, making it take so much time. And this, combined with the fact that almost none of the drops are really that particularly useful, I suppose you could make the argument that Critical 6 is a good book for use, but it's so common and so cheap, it's not something you can make profitable. But the Overflux Capacitor that you could also drop is a very rare drop, and unless you have a good luck, you aren't going to be seeing it anytime soon. And with the factor that also takes forever, just forever to hit Wolf Slayer 9, I think Wolf Slayer deserves to go into the F tier. Moving on, we now move on to one of the harder bosses to kill in the game. Voidgloom Seraphs are very different from the previous 3 bosses, as its attacks are very different and the difficulty for the boss scales significantly higher with each and every tier. And given the significant spike in difficulty, it requires significantly more magical power, healing items, and weapon buffs just to get the damage required and the survivability required when killing this boss. And each setup will look different, as there are multiple different ways to go about defeating a tier 4 Voidgloom. And as a reward that you get from the boss, they are all pretty good drops, with items such as the Transmission Tuner, the Handy Blood Chalice, the Pocket Espresso Machine, the exceedingly rare Ender Artifact Upgrader, and the Judgment Core are all drops that are going to be used at some point and are very useful for the progression of the game. And for this reason, it is a good boss to drop, or grind for drops. But unfortunately, unless you have good luck, you tend to lose a lot more money than you will be gained. And this, combined with the fact that you need millions of coins a year to survive the tier 4 boss, I think this is deserving of a solid 8 tier, but not quite to the level of an S tier, just simply because of the progression that it takes from Sven Packmaster all the way up to the tier 4. Next, we're going to talk about the Blaze Slayer. Blaze Slayer is a boss that requires a very unique type of fight retrospectively compared to all the other types of boss. And the main difference is that this boss requires you to use 2 daggers that have different abilities in order to damage the boss, as well as using Sar armor or just any other high health thing that requires you to have true defense to negate most of the damage from the boss. In other words, it's basically just a copy of the Sven Packmaster, but a lot harder. But the progression leap that you take from doing tier 4 Voidglooms isn't nearly as large as the previous leap from tier 4 Wolf to tier 4 End. And as a result, this takes a lot of money in order to be able to do, but as a result, you also make a massive amount of money, with making up to 60 million coins per hour from selling items such as duplex and the distillants that you drop from this boss, making it especially profitable. And for this reason, I would say that this boss is an S tier just because it's a lot easier compared to Voidgloom, and it makes significantly more money if done efficiently. And as a reminder, if you disagree with any of the rankings today, please feel free to comment your opinion on what you think the boss deserves down in the comments. And as a quick note, I got these coin measurements from people who have done Slayers more than me, have gotten fairly accurate numbers from them. And finally, we move on to perhaps what is the most interesting Slayer boss, as it is not found in the normal Skyblock game, as it can be only located in the Rift when you head over to the Stilgore Chateau. And for this reason, it requires the best Rift equipment that you can possibly get your hands on in order to fight this. But by the time you get to the Stilgore Chateau, I would have expected that you would have good enough gear to take on this boss. So I would say that even though you have to go through several hours of Rift gameplay, it is pretty easy once you get to it based on what you have. And combined with that, it is not that easy to progress. Even though you have the gear, it does require a lot of actual skill, like most of the bosses do, but this requires the extra gameplay, with a little bit of combinations between previous bosses, such as you have you to dodge through certain areas, as well as break some pillars, as well as fighting like external mobs. And even with all this, it is actually still worth it in my opinion, since you don't actually have to progress through Skyblock normally in order to get the profits that you would get from it, which for the profits for this tends to go up to 40 million coins per hour from drops such as McRubber's Burger and other drops. And for all this, I would say that this boss deserves a decent B tier. And that's all the slayers that we have for today. So if this helped you at all decide what slayer that you could decide to grind, or to give you an idea of what to expect from slayers, I'm happy. Anyways, if you liked this video and who decided that you have for some reason enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, as it helps me out a lot. And if you find yourself coming back on the regular, please consider joining my Discord, as we do have 50 million coin giveaways in there semi-weekly. And we'll see you guys next time.